intro. What's going on, everybody? Troy Rawlings here. Welcome to another exciting episode of Meet the. And it's weird because we want to try to meet the in person because this cat we live in the same. We both in California.
Right.
But big ass butt. Frank McCombs is the traveler. I don't know what kind of miles he got, but I got to get with Frank McCombs. He might be able to help me with. We'll talk about that offline. Because Frank McCombs travels around the world. Anybody who's a Frank McCombs fan, you're a hardcore loyalist when it comes to good music. I'm trying not to cuss throughout this thing because I was like, good effing music.
Cuss, man. We yellow
Good
boys.
fucking music. Okay. Good fucking music. That's how I talk. That's how I usually talk. But we're gonna go back and talk to Frank about, where this all started. Accomplished musician, was an accomplished musician for years. I don't know what came first. I'm just gonna ask you, ladies and gentlemen, Frank McCombs, what came first, the musicianship, or did you find out you had a voice?
I've had a voice. I knew I had a voice from the time I was probably 3. I knew what I wanted to do for a living from the time I was maybe a toddler. I knew I wanted to sing. Didn't know what the heck it was, but I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to sing. I didn't see piano come until 12. I didn't see drums come until age 8. I was the musician. I was a singer first, then a musician. Big lover of the Fender Rhodes piano before I even knew what a Rhodes was, literally. Herbie Hancock's Headhunters, Stevie Wonder's Intervisions, Songs in the Key of Life, Talking Book. I knew that sound, so I knew what I liked.
What is it about that? What is it? We can dive into it now. The musicians are probably sitting there with their mouth watering. But all the music, what is it about? Is it because you get so much of the organ sound and the fullness of a grand piano and what's assumingly the size of a keyboard? What is it about the Fender Rhodes that covers so much depth in soul music? Like it's been for years, like you said, when from Herbie Hancock to when Stevie was in Intervisions, it just, and then from that, Donny Hathaway, everybody who used that, it is the embodiment of soul. When D'Angelo came back later on and used it a lot in his music, what is it about the Fender Rhodes that carry so much depth?
First off, it's such a versatile piano. Even before D'Angelo touched it, before I touched it, you got Joe Sample, you got Ramsey Lewis, you got Patrice Rushen, you got Chick Corea. All these cats played Fender Rhodes piano. Larry Dunn, he and I had a conversation about the Rhodes piano. Everybody had their own unique sound with it, believe it or not. It's that versatile, the piano. And when Mr. Dunn and I talked about the piano, he was telling me how back in the Earth, Wind and Fire days, they would go to the music store and they would bring out a cabinet and then put a different Rhodes top on top of it. And then if they didn't like that sound, they go get a different speaker cabinet and put it under a different piano. So that's how they bought their Fender Rhodes pianos. That's what Larry Dunn taught me. So each cat had their own sound. That's how unique this piano is. And I was so blown away by the piano that I had to find one when I was about, I think my first Rhodes piano I got when I was about 15 years old. I pretty much took the whole thing apart and put it back together because a lot of people don't know it, but I was into auto mechanics as a kid. I liked fixing things. I worked on cars. You give me a 1986 Caprice Classic, I could work with it.
You gotta get down. Come down here to Los Angeles on a Friday night, man. You gotta.
Right, I know, right? I know. So it's just that piano was just it always has been extremely versatile to me, and it's such a warm sound. And I never stopped playing it. When people stopped playing it in the 80s and they went to a DX7, Yamaha DX7, all the rolling keyboards and, the Korg M1, not the slight Korg because I endorse Korg. I love Korg. Everybody started going to those real thin electric piano sounds. They didn't sound like a Rhodes anymore, Right. I stayed true to the Rhodes. When I was playing in bars in Cleveland, Ohio, I was dragging that Rhodes around. I had a 73 stage, Mark I. And I was carrying that thing to the gigs and they said, Frank carrying that dinosaur, but that dinosaur sure sound good.
They don't want you to leave once you start playing. You be like, I'm going to be here for the next 6 hours.
Man, they wanted to keep me there, But I was always about my business back then. You can keep me, but you got to pay for my time. So
let's go over it. You mentioned.
I learned the tune. I learned to tune and overhaul that piano myself, and now I'm working with them. I'll be doing a showcase at NAMM this year. Yeah,
I love it.
with the Rhodes Mark 8, the new Mark 8. Oh, they're gonna love this segment. I tell you that now.
Mark 8.
Yeah,
Well,
the new Mark
we gonna
8.
slice it up for the folks at Rhodes.
Okay,
We need
right,
y'all to
right.
we need y'all to come forth with
I
some
need.
stuff.
Hey, I would just be honest. I need them to do what Korg has done for me for the last since 2004. I've been working with Korg. In fact, I wouldn't
Almost
play. I
almost
wouldn't
20
play.
years.
Yeah, so about 20 years I've been working with Korg, and I wouldn't play none of their electric pianos, man. So the Kronos has my name in the my name is in the Kronos, every Kronos in the world, because I actually asked the company to name the patches after us that we worked on. It was me, Herbie Hancock, the late George Duke, the late Lyle Mays, Russell Ferrante, um, a lot of us. If every keyboard player that has a Kronos, you just look at it and you'll see my name in there. 3 times. I did two. I developed 2 Wurlitzers and 1 Fender Rose with my man Jack Hotop. It's like one of my best friends. He's over at Korg. Been with Korg this year to be 40 years. He's been with Korg, 40 years. And some of the demos in the Korg keyboards, yours truly. Record all tracks recorded by yours truly. So me, Jack, and me, Jack Hotop, and Jerry Kowarski, who was there at the time, we would all work together on, perfecting the sounds for these demos that I would be doing. I'd record the demos and everything, send them to them, and they would mix them inside of the keyboards for me. So I worked on a lot of Korg keyboards. And that Kronos, the squeaky wheel got the oil. I asked them to name all the patches after us. So all of our names are in that keyboard. My name is next to Herbie Hancock and George Duke because I asked for it. Yes.
Come on.
Anybody watching this, you can make it. If I can get to this point, you can do it too. You can
All
do
right,
it.
let's go back. All right.
Yeah.
You dropping jewels all over.
I'm just trying to help people.
Are you originally from Cleveland, Ohio?
Born and raised, man. Born and raised in Cleveland. Yeah. Yeah.
Cleveland, Ohio.
Born and raised in Cleveland. Yeah. Graduated from Glenville High School, the same school Steve Harvey, the comedian, graduated from. Glenville High School. Yeah.
So what was your first experience? Well, first off, what was your first experience singing and playing? Where were you at? Were you singing for playing for people and you realized, oh snap?
It might have been my grandmama's church. It might have been my because I'm the only male vocalist in my generation, actually in my family, doing what I'm doing, and the only one in my generation that wanted to do it. I grew up watching my aunts. I've got 2 aunts that play. Well, a third one that really knew how to get around the piano. But 2 of my aunts play piano. My aunt Liz, my late aunt Evelina. Evelina taught me piano. She gave me 3 lessons. I'm sorry. It was 3 1-hour lessons on Sundays after church. I was telling her I wanted to learn how to play because I would watch her play and sing. And I watched Liz play and sing. So I think the first time I played and sang was at my grandmother's church. And I remember Lena giving me 3 lessons, 1 hour a Sunday for 3 Sundays. So I literally had 3 hours piano training, no lie. And the rest, I just, like I say all the time, I scratched up my mother's records. I scratched up all her records.
Put it back. Just kept putting it back.
Yep, the needle. You kept putting the needle back.
Put the needle on the
record.
record.
Had to listen real fast, learn the lick, put it back, listen real fast, learn the lick. Yeah, we didn't have all this technology right here. Where is it at? Right. We didn't have all of this.
The whole joint.
We didn't have all that. We didn't have Logic. No, we didn't have that.
All right, so I'm gonna Tarantino this a little bit. I'm gonna dance around. So I'm gonna jump.
Let's roll.
Because you mentioned something key. You mentioned something very key. Did you ever have a major deal? Because as far as I know, you've always been independent.
Yeah, I did.
Outside of Buckshot and Plump, outside of.
I had two major deals. I came into the business as an artist on Motown in the early 90s. Yeah, what I did was I left Cleveland after touring with the Rude Boys, Laverne and the OJs in September of 91. All of 91, I toured with them. September of 91.
Slow down. Did y'all hear with it? So you were touring with the Rude Boys, Laverne, and the OJ.
And the OJs. So I was the musical director for the Rude Boys, who opened for Laverne, who opened for the OJs. So it was all Cleveland on the road. So that was a 91, my first.
Written all over your face. Y'all don't remember that?
Absolutely. That was a big hit, man. They don't know nothing about that. They too young to know about that. Big hit for the Rude Boys, man. So 91, I was 21, actually 20, turned 21 on that tour. after touring with the Rude Boys and Vernon O'Jays, I moved to Philly to work with Jeff and Will, Jazzy Jeff Will Smith, and then ended up landing a gig as a session musician at Philadelphia International Records, thanks to my boy Mark and Sherman Byers, their brothers out of Philadelphia, who took me down to Philly International. Was like, hey, check this kid out, walked me right in there. Mark and Sherman got hustle, man. Them boys, they got me down at the Philly International, and Mr. Gamble, was like, come on, let me hire you right away. And I had a gig, so they ended up helping me get moved right on 13th and Spruce, and I would walk up the street to Broad and Spruce, right on the corner where Philly International used to be. Now it's a big high rise, man. I cried when they tore that building down. But that's why I was, as they say, discovered by Steve McKeever, who found Jill Scott years later, signed her to Hidden Beach. That's the same guy that found me, but signed me to the Mojazz label, which was the jazz division of Motown. So November 9th, 1992, that's the day I moved from LA, from Philadelphia to LA and never looked back. First celebrity I met was Kojak. Telly Savalas.
Telly Savalas. What you know about Telly?
Boy.
Who loves you, baby? Where's my?
Yep.
I had a lollipop in here somewhere.
That was the first celebrity I met, man. Telly Savalas, because they put me at the Universal Sheraton, and he was there in the lounge bar area, and I went there to the lounge bar area to have some lunch and saw him, and I walked up to him, got a picture with him too, with my Mojazz hat.
Was he as cool? Was he as cool as he seemed?
He was the coolest dude, man. He was so cool. Sat and talked with me for about 20 minutes, and that's a long time for a guy like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll never forget Telly Savalas. That was the first celebrity I met when I moved to LA. Yeah.
Y'all ask me why you say baby so much. It's literally because of Telly Savalas. Who loves you?
Who loves you, baby? With the sucker, the little lollipop.
I was looking for a lollipop. I was like, that's gonna be my theme this Sunday.
I'm always watching Kojak. BTV or Get TV, one of them TVs. I'm on it, man. I be watching them, man. So I was with Motown, stayed with Motown for about 3 years. Did 2 different projects, and one didn't see the light of day, and the other one saw the light of day some years later illegally. I did an album for them in '95. Yeah, 1995, I did a record for Motown, and when they actually got bought out by Polygram for millions of dollars. And when they got bought out, the little guys like me were forgotten about, So I learned from Patrice Rushen during that time. She said, if you don't have favor with the president of any label, you don't have favor with the label. And that stuck with me, man. Patrice told me that, and that stuck with me to this day. So it just so happened that Gerald Busby.
It was 95, 96? Yeah, that was the time when the labels were becoming extinct. I think that was right before Michael Jackson. I think right before Michael Jackson came out and was like, Tommy Mottola's the devil, and no one. It was like, if Michael was being treated like.
Yeah, man. It was. I think that might have come just a tad later, but no, he might have been going through it because a lot of things happened. By the time
I think it was 2000 when Invincible came out.
Yeah, so this happened right before that. This was around 95 when labels were going through at the time, and the style of music was changing. And they signed me to the Mojazz label, but then there was a new A&R guy. I won't say his name because I don't believe in exploitation, but I do believe in telling the testimony. There was a new A&R guy that came in because as I was going out, Clarence Avon's people were just coming in. And there was a guy who became my new, there was a dude that became my new A&R dude. I'm recording this record in '95, and he would never come down to the studio to hear anything. We recorded like 9 tunes. We recorded 9 tunes. And right after we finished this 9th tune, he shows up and he starts to listen to the music. He listened from the first tune to the very last and was like, didn't make a comment at all. But as soon as that last song went off, we're like, yeah, what you think? He said, where's the bagging? Where's the pleading? Aren't you from Cleveland? I was looking for Gerald Levert. We said, go back to your cage, man. You're just a jungle monkey. Get on out here. Going back to your cage. We kicked him out the studio. Man, I was bummed for about a week after that. Yeah. So, and we're talking about, I'm 24.
You like, get out. You like, I actually work here. Get out.
Yeah, get out. Yeah, no, he came to the studio. We put him out of the studio.
That's what I'm saying.
He came to the studio. Oh, yeah, get out. No, you're not. No, get out. Go. Yeah, man, he disappointed me. So, as the label was making their transition from president to president, new people coming in and, the record label being sold for all his money, Gerald Busby gave me the opportunity before he jetted to get out.
Mm.
And he said, Frank, do you want to stay? You want to go? I'm going to give you the choice. I said, I want to get out of here. If you're not going to be here, I don't want to be here because I don't know what's happening. I've given this label 3 years already. I can't get that time back. So I left, and then I got a call, and I know it was Steve McKeever. Either Steve McKeever or Patrice Rushen. One of the two did it. Put me in touch with Branford Marcellus. There was a gentleman named Tiana Gomez that I heard from, and Steve McKeever's
By this time, it's about
secretary.
96, 97?
96. I get a call saying that no, actually it was sooner than that. It was around 90. Yeah, 96 because I did the record for Motown. So it was around 96. It was right after that. And I got this call that Branford Marcellus is looking for this vocalist for this group called Buckshot LaFunk. I was like, I don't give a damn what it's called. I can't make it out, but if it's Branford, I'm doing it. Let me get over my bitterness so I can get this gig, right? So I ended up getting this demo tape from Tiana Gomez. Is his name, Tiana Gomez. And it was a song by Elton John that he did around 72 called Mona Lisa's at Mad Hatter's. And Branford needed to hear my voice. So I get this cassette and I'm listening to the cassette of the original. And it's like, Mona Lisa's and Mad Hatters, Sons of Bankers. It's like real slow and stuff. But then I get this demo from Branford, like, boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, how in the hell am I supposed to put this to this? I'm gonna figure it out. Right? So I experimented on how to sing this tune. You know, I listened to what Elton did, and I wrote down the lyrics, and then I listened to Branford's, and I just kind of played with the melodies till I got something that I thought was hip. You know, being a musician, knowing Branford's a musician, let me come from a musician's approach and not just a vocalist approach. Right. And I get in the studio, I meet Branford. No, I didn't. I went to this house that was up in the hills because he was still working for the Jay Leno show, NBC, the Tonight Show rather. And I demoed this song. And about 2 weeks later, I get this call. Branford wants you to meet him in Culver City at Sony Music Studio. I was like, okay, cool. So I get to the studio, and inside of 45 minutes, I cut the song. Done. And Branford says to me, man, for all this money I'm paying you, I plan to work your ass all night. Those are his words.
How many more songs can we get? You doing 45 minutes a song? Let's go.
Exactly. You know, hey, you gonna pay me for each one of them too.
That's right.
So I'm like, bring me all your tithes and offerings. So I said to Branford. So I said to Branford, I said, well, think about it. That's why you paying me the money you pay me, so you can get off of this and get on to the next thing. And we were cool ever since. Saved him some money. So fast forward to and I'm telling all this for a reason. Fast forward to going on the road. I didn't know he was gonna have me go on tour. You know, so the first, I mean, it's like the first.
You're still thinking session type musician. Go in, do your work.
Yeah. I'm thinking I'm just gonna do this one song and I'm done. I'm not gonna hear from him no more. That's it. You know, nah. It was time for that record to come out. I got a call. Branford wants you to meet him at Third Encore. I think it was in North Hollywood somewhere. The rehearsal spot. So I get there, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to stand up and sing. I like playing and sitting or whatever. You know, I got to stand up and sing. Man, I get there, and Branford gives me a big hug. He's like, man, you did a great job on the record, blah, 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 blah. There's your keyboard rig. Go ahead. I was like, I get the play, man. I had a keyboard rig, right? And I'm looking at the killer pianist, Joey Colorado, getting it in on one side of the stage, and I got a rig on the other side of the stage. I didn't know it was mine. And then I'm looking at all these guys, the great James Genius on bass, you know, Ray Fuller on guitar, and Reginald Ville. No, it was, James Genius on bass. Reggie came in later. James Genius on bass, Reginald Ville on guitar, John Touche, no, it might have been Delphia on trombone. Russell Gunn on trombone. I mean, Rocky Bryant on drums. The greatest. Just such a cool band, man. So, I go to my rig, and I'm like, I'm gonna show these guys I can play. And I sit down at my rig, and I'm getting it in, man. A song called Black Widow. I'm soloing, and they soloing. We get it in, right? So Branford is just standing there looking, right? And then he walks over, like, all these dudes getting off, right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm getting in too. Yeah, right? So Branford walks up to me, right? And he stands behind me and he puts his hands on my shoulders. And he says in my ear, in the midst of all this loud killer soloing happening at one time that turns into noise, right? He says in my ear, he says, the less you play, the more you sing, and walked off. That was my first lesson in music discipline. That was my first lesson. He walks off, and then he starts screaming on everybody else. Why are you playing on this? I didn't write it that way. Just going off on everybody. To this day, Branford has never screamed on me as a musician or as an artist. He's never screamed on, but I've seen him light some cats up. I mean, damn near fighting one of the musicians after a gig.
Well,
because he wanted
well,
right.
one of the reasons probably, and I've talked to y'all, and this is the most wonderful. I'm gonna let Frank flow because these stories are amazing, and I know y'all are loving it. But here's the thing, and I'll say this: one of the reasons is that you're blessed to be so humble, but there's a reason you're accomplished, and you mentioned being included amongst the names of a George Duke, a Joe Sample, a Herbie Hancock, a Ramsey Lewis. You're that proficient in what you do. And musicians recognize music. They go up, and he knows he doesn't have to talk to you like, because he saw something in you when it was just you and him, and he saw something else. And I mean, it's the Marsalis family. So, I mean, they come from a place.
Family of jazz, man, right?
They've established it to be. Jazz was always cool, but it was always also for the affluent. The Marsalis family made something jazz comparable to us as saying, hey, it's not only for the affluent, it's our culture. This is who we are. And they carry a certain, certain professionalism with themselves. And that's you. You've always been a gentleman in what you do. You're serious about your business. And if people listen to this story, I want you to pay attention, especially you young artists, especially you established jazz artists and more that are still like, I'm just gonna get this gig. Well, you're talking to somebody that had, and which I didn't even, I remember Mo Jazz. I did not know it was Motown, and then they converted over. But someone who has been established as an independent artist now for 30 plus years, 30 years.
Yeah. I forget how long it's been, man. I forget I've been doing this, without these labels for a long time, man. It's not always easy, but when I look at my freedom, I'm happy until I can find the right label that gets me. But fast forward to Columbia. When Buckshot actually went on the road, it was a different set of guys. Some of these guys were swapped out because we were actually rehearsing for the premiere of the album, the self-titled Buckshot the Funk debut. Right. But then when it was time to go on tour, you had Reggie Field on bass, Carl Burnett on guitar, Mino Sinaloo on percussion, John Touche on trombone, Russell Gunn on trumpet, Branford on sax, Joey Calderazzo on keys, me second keys, and Ricky DaCosta, who was known as the Unknown Soldier, rapping. Yeah, DJ Apollo. So he had all the bases covered from hip hop to straight ahead to salsa and samba. Buckshot the Funk opened the door for a lot of these other groups that's out, man. Whether they want to give Branford his props or not, Buckshot the Funk opened the door for a lot of these other groups to hit the scene, man. Really.
Yeah, we're talking about something you're talking about something pre-Hargrove, pre-Roots, there was a lot in that album. I still have this CD. I got a CD. It's in my daughter's room. She keeps it.
She keeps it. Wow. That's cool. We actually wrote the music, or most of the music, to the album Music Evolution, the sophomore CD, while we were on tour. And we performed some of that stuff on tour. What got the great applause, we kept. What didn't get a great applause, we, or should I say Branford did most of it. He revamped until he got the applause he wanted. And then there were things where he was like, we're going to scrap it, But then there was a song called Another Day. Turned out to be a big, big hit. What happened was we're on the road. And we're somewhere in Europe, right? And we're on our way to Finland. And Branford wakes me up on the bus, like the butt crack of dawn, right?
That's and he's 4
like,
to 5
he's
a.m.
Like, right? So he's waking me up. Frank, come on, man, come on. You got to go with me. I was like, man, if it ain't the dreamland, I ain't trying to hear it. He's like, no, come on, man, come on. And he pulls me out of my bunk, man. We get out the bunk. And we are coming to realize we're at the festival grounds now. And they're actually setting up all these tents because it's a huge festival. We going from stage to stage to stage trying to find a piano. finally we get to the Crusader stage. The stage we found out was a Crusader stage, and they had a Steinway there for Joe Sample. He sits at the piano. He said, no, he didn't even sit. He was reaching over with the top open, and he went, tong, 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 looked at me and says, another day. Tong, 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 no, 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 tong, tong. So I hit his hands. I'm like, B. First off, early for this. Two, what the hell is tong, no, 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 no? He said, I don't know, MF, but you're going to write it. You're going to help me finish it. Dun, 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 dun. He just went into this thing, man. Next thing I know, we're somewhere, I think it was Manhattan Center Studios in New York, maybe, or Sony. One of those studios in New York. And before I knew it, we had recorded this song, got the lyrics, called Bill Gable up, finished the lyrics up. Time to go back on the road. And I noticed that the song Another Day was on the set list. But nope, let me take that back. We get on the road and we're performing Another Day. People, back on tour after making this record, and people loving Another Day, loving other tunes that we did too. But then take a hiatus, come back on the road, go back to Europe doing dates. And I noticed that Another Day is the last song on the list now.
Wow.
Like, this is weird. Ooh. This is weird. But see, back then, still being developed as a recording artist, your hit song is usually, or your most exciting song is the last tune in most cases.
Yes.
So I noticed Another Day is the last tune, and we go and we play, and then we're in Amsterdam now. Now we play the whole concert. We walk off. Time for the encore. Come up and went into Another Day, and the crowd went nuts. And I was like, whoa.
Because you're so
Branford never said. No, Branford never even told me we had a hit. He looked at me and said, congratulations, MF, you got a hit. Congratulations, MF, you got a hit. I was like, oh, wow. My first hit. Oh, my God. Yeah, I was blown away. Another Day became a hit.
Because your head down and you're working.
Yeah, and I wasn't thinking about it. And I'm like, Another Day. And the crowd was nuts. And I was like, whoa. And
y'all know this?
I was like, what's up with this? They know the song now. He's like, yeah, congratulations, MF. You got a hit. Yep, hit song. It was number one on many charts for pop, and I think number 5 for R&B or something crazy like that. Yeah, it was a big hit. So I can't go some places without performing that tune. But check this out. Before this thing really took off, Branford had it set up for me to do a 2-hour showcase for Columbia's R&B department. And it was crazy. Columbia Records, it was me and a Kurzweil PC-88, just me and the keyboard. And I'm performing in front of all the big wigs at Columbia. And they're like, oh, this guy's great. We're going to sign him. And they passed on me to sign somebody else. I believe it was Alicia Keys. That's what I heard. And obviously didn't do nothing with her. She went over to Jay with Clyde. But that's if that was her. But they passed on me to sign somebody else. And Branford was mad. I was like, well, what am I supposed to do now, man? I got my young family now. I got little kids. He said, don't worry, we're going to stay on the road because Another Day going to keep us busy. Another Day got us back on the road. And sure enough, Branford got me signed to Columbia Jazz. I had to go through the jazz department at Columbia Records to get in to do an R&B record. I did more of an old school R&B record for Columbia. The album was called Love Stories. In 1998, I recorded Love Stories. For Columbia Jazz. In 99, it sat on the shelf. All of 99, it sat on the shelf. I went on the road with Frankie Beverly and Mays in April of 99. And in May of 99, I went on the road with Shaka Khan from May of 99 till New Year's Eve. And I said, I'm never going on the road with anybody else as a touring musician ever again, because I'm playing for people doing what it is I'm supposed to be doing. And I know I'm supposed to be doing this for a living. And I tell you, just like anybody else, I thought it was going to go a certain way for me. I thought I was going to go and get all the Grammys. I thought I was going to be this star. I had to learn later on down the line in my career and in my life that stars fall. It is best to have a great career, And that's the way I see it. If God blesses me with the trophies and all of that, then I greatly appreciate it because that's your work being recognized. And I'll give him all praise and glory and honor for it. To this day, no label has done anything for me to get to the point that I'm at now, because no label got me any radio support, no TV exposure, none of that. Neither label. They put the record out. Columbia put Love Stories out March, I think it was March 7th of 2000. Now, when I was a kid, if you would have told me I wasn't going to get my first record out to the year 2000, I probably would have quit. Because 2000 sounds so far away.
It sounded like the new millennium, like Buck Rogers.
Right. What is a millennium?
Right.
That's SB17 saying, what is the millennium? That sounds like another planet.
Sound like Missy Elliott.
Right. Terrible. Yeah, man. I was like, man, I got my first record out in the year 2000, so I guess this is a new beginning for me. Okay, fine. So yeah, so I put the record. Well, they put the record out, but where it got back to me that they said they weren't going to push it. So, like I say in all interviews, how do you give birth to a child and tell it to raise itself? It's gonna die. It's gonna die. But the people caught on, and if that album would have gotten the support that, say, for example, Chris Brown would have got, that Chris Brown got, or even the support that any other jazz artist on the Columbia Jazz label got, if I would have just gotten that album would have easily gone platinum. I know it.
Right.
But I have to look at it this way. That record did what it was supposed to do, because there would be no ministry had it gone any other way. That's the way I have to see it at 53 now. At 53 years old, I see things so differently, you know. But like anybody else at 53, 63, 73 up, you know, if I knew then what I know now, boy.
But that in and of itself, I mean, to be, like I said, I hold the Marcellus family in great regard. I have a meme that I put up. I reposted something the other day that I reposted something that Branford actually made a comment, and they had a snippet of an interview. He said, when musicians play, you know, musicians chop it up. Like you said, when he was watching y'all jam, and it was like, he said, what happens is, you know, he said, even people that don't like jazz will say, I like the Coltrane album with such and such. I like this album. I like this song. I like this.
Right.
He said, now musicians will say, I like Giant Steps, learn how to play it. And then they'll try to show their chops in playing Giant Steps on a show. And then when the audience doesn't react the way they want them to, I'm paraphrasing, he says, and the musicians are like, man, F them, they don't know real music, stuff like that. He's like, no, Giant Steps isn't music, it's mathematics.
It really is.
He said, there's a
really
difference.
He's right.
He said, we're musicians, of course we're gonna appreciate it because it does something for us.
Right.
Like there's this song by Al Jarreau that me and my daughter be in the car listening to, and I was like, you should take that to your vocal training and try it there. And she was like, no. You know, he's up and down, he's all over the place. And she loves listening to it. But I was like, yeah, but, you know, that's Al Jarreau. I said, but in saying that, when you said he got on the musicians, is because Branford was understanding something that Miles could do all kinds of stuff. But Miles put out music that people bought.
Yeah.
He still bought as a jazz artist. Think about how they jammed. And how they always show that clip when Herbie hit the wrong note. He's talking about hitting the wrong note, and Miles was like, and he took the wrong note and went and played in that note so everybody would get there. And he was like, why would he do that? He was like, because what we do when we jamming, this crowd is not going to understand. They understand very simple things. So that's a deep way. And Branford has a meme going around now about that. And then Quentin has something where he says, to the tone of what you were saying, a guy asked him, he said, well, you know, the audience, you know, do you play, when you're a musician, when you're a jazz musician, are you playing for yourself or are you playing for the listeners? He said, play for the listeners, but the first listener is yourself. And everybody was like, oh, he was like, right?
True.
Because that's the misconception about jazz. And
true.
I think you've been able to seamlessly transition, being a phenomenal musician. Like, for those in Atlanta, y'all already know. For those that Frank McComb fans, I ain't gonna tell y'all shit. For those who don't know and can make it to Atlanta on April 30th for the brunch, oh, you're gonna be at the
It's
brunch
gonna be
thing.
on.
I don't want to say y'all throw your drawers on
It's gonna
stage.
be on.
Don't do that.
If you do, make sure they clean.
Please, it's Sunday. Please have some clean draws. Don't
Clean
all y'all
draws.
night before. No, sorry.
Hey,
I'm
listen,
sorry.
I
All
don't
y'all
want
night
the
before
draws.
people.
Listen, I don't want the draws after you finish shouting in church.
Or the party night, then shouting church.
Or the
Then
night before. Oh Lord, oh that's double the funk, and we ain't talking Parliament and James Brown. Lord Jesus.
This is a wonderful event. $200 a ticket. Make sure you come clean.
It's worth it. Yeah.
But I want to say that because a lot of times we have different artists. Because you've seen people come and go, like the artist Donnie. I remember Donnie on Big Step.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing artist came out and he had it was like, oh, everybody's raving and stuff like that. But then you hear him talk about what happened in a small amount. I think what happened is Motown bought Big Step. And then he got taught like the same thing you're talking about, having to an artist in, oh man, this had to be 2001.
Yeah, about that time things were going crazy, yeah.
Donnie had an album called The Colored Section.
The Colored Section. Yep.
And he was on Big Step.
He's such a gifted writer, gifted singer, man. I know him very well because the same guy that produced his record produced my album, The Truth, Volume 1. Yeah. That's a whole nother bottle of communion right there. But,
all of a sudden. But think about it. You found being a musician, being a singer, doing what you're doing, hooking up with the right people and learning something that you have been blessed to navigate, have an international following. Think about this. We're working, me and you have talked, every time we talk, you've been overseas somewhere doing different things. But then we come full circle, right? You know what I'm saying? We full circle, me and VG Jazz producing shows in California. We come full circle. Eric DeWitt, good friend, passes away. His wife reaches out. We're talking about musicians. And I say, oh yeah, what about Frank McComb? Because we had jazz, and I said, well, Frank McComb is different. He's jazz and singing. And she said, let me, talk. And she said, I'll be honest, I think Eric was really telling me go this way. He said, Troy, do you know Frank was one of the last people that Eric talked to about performing?
Yeah, he was. I was, because we were talking about doing something, but I didn't hear back from him no more. And I figured, well, it's another rejection, he here we go. Somebody wants to book me, but then he changed his mind and I don't hear from him no more. But I just thank God that I didn't hold that against him. Some told me not to, and I'm glad I didn't because, man, it passed away, man. So
and it comes back through somebody you know.
Ain't that crazy?
and not only that, but and it's funny because me and Frank, I'm back when I had LA Radio Now, the first version of it, we're setting up the next version of it now. Frank was on tour doing some things. We would play the live Superstition live on the radio.
Yeah.
We had a Frank McComb concert one day when you Frank's in Germany. We had a Frank McComb concert one day, just playing. I'm just gonna play this because you sent me a bunch of music. I was like, play this. I was like, we gotta push play and just let it run.
Oh man, I got a serious catalog after all these years, man. I keep my catalog tight.
Well, the awesome thing is just look at what De La Soul is just doing with their digital side.
What they do?
Tomorrow, actually, it's the second. I don't usually date these folks, but this is some historic stuff. On March, Dave Dove Trugoy just passed away. But on March, I think it's today, March 2nd, 2023, they've just released, they negotiated a deal because Tommy Boy was holding some stuff. They had some crazy stuff going on. They negotiated a deal and they're releasing all their stuff digitally. De La Soul was never available digital.
Wow, really? I didn't know that. Wow, never thought.
You don't think about it because their music is so much a part of culture, but we forget we're watching.
Oh yeah. Wow.
It's never available digital. So all of a sudden, everything, and De La Soul did something a lot of people don't know about. One of their last albums they did, I think they did a crowdfunding piece from the people that love. They raised $600,000 to do one of their last projects, and let alone sales. You know what I'm saying? So
I ain't mad at that.
But the thing is, I think I love what's happening now. 2023. You talking about you came in the game, what, 90? You said 91 is when you first went on tour. You were 21. You said you were
Yeah,
21.
I
Turned
was 20.
21.
I was 20 going on 21. I turned 21 on that tour. Yeah, so I was literally 20 years old. And my first touring gig, I was a musical director. So yeah, first touring gig, I
And
was
you
a
said you're
musical director.
51 now, right?
53. I'll be 53 this year, July. Yeah, I've been doing this a long time, man. You know the one thing, going back to Miles, man. You know why Miles did what he did with Herbie's Note? Because Miles said there are no wrong notes in jazz.
Right. Right.
So he took that note and made some. Miles, I think it was Bradford that actually schooled me that Miles would take pieces of people's solos and make melodies of them and be a whole damn song. Yeah, yeah, man.
You
Yeah,
hear
Miles
something
was
like,
something else.
yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah,
So do you still
I'm gonna take a piece of that. I'm gonna make a whole song out of that. That'll be the melody for my new song.
now do you still work with Branford sometimes as well?
I haven't seen Bradford nor talked to him in a good minute, but yeah, Bradford's been on a few things of mine. Like the record that I did for Motown, I call it the 1995 bootleg because it was bootleg for $50 a CD in the UK back in 2003. After I released, um, right after I released Love Stories and then The Truth Volume One, um, the producer of that record from '95 was pushing it behind my back in 2003. As I was pushing The Truth Volume One, he was pushing that Motown thing behind my back. So yeah, so I
Now
just
what is it
turned.
about
Oh,
what
go
is it
ahead.
about the UK? Because you mentioned something Tank and Jay Valentine have an amazing podcast I love called R&B Money. They just had Estelle on there. And Estelle was talking about the difference between the UK and America. And what is it about the UK? She gave some good examples talking about how the UK appreciates, goes hard for, and advocates for music, especially R&B, especially jazz, just good music. What is it about the UK that you found so much success in? Artists have always went over. Tank talked about how he was jealous because artists he would be singing background for would go over to the UK, and he was like, I want to go to the UK.
Right,
What
right,
is it about the
right.
UK that's so different from the States?
Well, from my point of view, from my experience in it all, from what I've seen, looking, I would have to say, looking through the eyes of my own career, um, the UK, I believe they are so big on my style of music, more so than my own country, because my country is pushing everything but my style of music. They're pushing anything that's more
When
of
you
a
say your
trend.
style, you mean instrumentation, you mean jazz,
When
you
I
mean vocal.
say I'm a soul jazz recording artist, I'm not pop. I'm not all these other branches of R&B. You know, I would consider myself adult contemporary if I had to call myself something in regards to R&B. But then I'm extremely versatile. I'm an extremely versatile artist who's not afraid to step into my versatility and push it. I mean, I could put out smooth jazz music, which I've done. I've put out smooth jazz singles. I put out an instrumental record I'm not even singing on. It just did a remastered version of it and re-released the album, a tribute to the masters. Um, I'm not afraid to go anywhere musically except for classical. That's not my thing. Classical, opera, that's not my thing. I'm not going in any arena that I know I'm not good at, that I don't specialize in. I'm not touching it. But
Right.
I've always wanted to do country. I ain't afraid of that. I've worked with Will Smith and Jeff. That's rap. I've worked with John P. Key and Fred Hammond and gospel. I've worked with Frankie Beverly Mays, Shaka Khan, George Benson, Tina Marie, Philip Bailey. I've played for them, worked with some of them in R&B. I ain't afraid to go there. You know, Najee and jazz. You know, so what I see is America pushes certain types of music to the people. And it just so happened that my style of music, they'll tell me that there's no market for me. But if it wasn't a market for me, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have a catalog that I'm selling to people. I wouldn't have a cult following. You know, all I need is somebody to come in and take what I've already established to the next level. I got a career. So obviously there's a market. Anybody's buying your record, there's a market for it. That right there tells you. But
And if you
see,
can't
the
stay off the
UK,
road, he's still the
and I'm
most
always
travelingest
gone. Man, my
hoodlum
wife
that I
told me.
know.
That's a good way to put it. My wife told me, Nisa said, Frank, you are going more than you realize. And She broke it down to me. She told me, go look at your calendar and all of the dates that you got, put them all together, and just put them together. Just count sporadically, and then take all those days and put them together. You'll see how, man, I saw 6 months, 7 months, and then once you put it all together, But throughout the year, you add it all together, put it together. I'm gone that much. I didn't realize it, especially before COVID. When I go to the UK, I hear my stuff on the radio. I've heard it on the radio. When I go over to Europe, period, I go to Amsterdam. I did a live record in Amsterdam because I got a huge fan base there. I did a live record at the Lyric Theater in Johannesburg, South Africa. I have not done a live record. Well, no, let me take it back. I did a live record in Atlanta, Georgia, and it was called Live in Atlanta.
ATL.
Yeah, and it was a very nice turnout, but it was in a really small place that I knew I could get the job done well at, But as far as like on the level of the size of the room, no, not in America. Doesn't amount to the Jazz Cafe over in Camden, England. The Lyric Theater being full, it was a theater. So I hear my music on the radio in these other countries. I don't hear my music on the radio here. I don't hear my style of music pushed. And I'm not, how do I say this? America wants to put me in this classification that I know I'm not in. I'm not a neo soul artist.
Right.
I hate that term. I'm not gonna lie. I hate that term. I am not neo soul. Right. I am a soul jazz recording artist. I play and sing soul. I play instrumental music. I'm a jazz. I play jazz. Maybe not straight ahead, but it's jazz. It's instrumental, so they're gonna call it jazz. Whatever is instrumental is called jazz. So I know I'm a soul jazz artist, and I say this in love. Eric Roberson and I are independent artists, but we're not the same type of artists.
Right.
Jeff Bradshaw and I are independent artists, but we're not the same type of artists.
Right.
I'm not the same type of artist that they want to put me in this classification with. I'm not that. I'm not that at all. And it's not that I'm dissing that. I'm not dissing anybody, but I'm not that.
Another thing, and
it's not a diss.
About it. It's not a diss because here prime example. It's not a diss. The Whispers were talking to Tank. The Whispers, Tank. Now there's a big gap. The thing is, it's funny you mentioned Chris Brown because Chris Brown, Frank McComb, big gap. Frank McComb, Trey Songz, big gap. But you're still talking about soul, still talking about R&B, but you get producers in. It's adding a bit more pop flavor to it, popular music. For those that don't know what pop means, pop just meant popular music. And you make popular music according to what they decide is going to be popular. It's the reason why, no offense to Drake, but anytime Drake puts out an album or Rihanna puts out an album, it goes directly onto the radio. And it will play. So that's that. The genre of smooth jazz, the reason that became all-encompassing, and it's good in one way and not so good in the other, is because it started to include the music, like a Frank McComb, stuff like that, instead of just having soul. Now you'll hear, hey, you may get a feel for Frank. I may catch you on KJLH because Kevin Nash plays you, or somebody or stations like WHUR and Howard University, because people are listening for soulful music. But I think
we got to throw in there WCLK in Atlanta, because HUR and CLK.
Yes, WCLK.
They give me love. Those now, it's crazy when you can name the stations in America that give you love. And I mean, all the stations we got here in the United States, I can name 2 that give me love. So that's the difference between the UK, or should I say even Europe for me. That's the difference for me between America and Europe.
And you're not the first artist.
You're
not the first artist that mentioned that.
But see, it's crazy because I'm that artist that never got that support. Now, I get emails and messages from fans, or even texts from friends over in Europe saying, "Hey man, I'm in a restaurant. They're playing Another Day. Hey man, I'm on the plane, and United Airlines is playing labeled as Love with you and Mason." But that's over there. I don't get that here. And I'll tell you another thing. I'll shine a little light on is independent used to be a thing where it was a style of music where people were really doing it on their own and the whole nine. But independent has become a genre now. You got legends jumping in saying they're independent. No, you already have a fan base. You've been there, done that. You're doing it on your own, but you ain't building nothing independently. You've already been built. Come
Right.
on, man. Now you coming
Right.
in our lane. Just say you're doing it on your own, but don't say you independent. You already had the help, been there, done that. Then you
That's
got
true.
other
Independent
artists.
became a genre.
Yeah, it's become a genre. Now you got other artists that's already had the push for radio. They were already signed to a major label that got them support and got them on the radio, got them videos, got them on BET and Quiet Storm and all these other things, got them exposure, got them on the charts, went to #1 in 09. Things were bad with your label. Now you're independent.
And here's
You
what
already got the push, man.
right. Let me say this because we just
This is
talked
a
about this.
lifestyle for me, not a genre, but a lifestyle for me. I am
Right.
literally independent, where it's everything's coming out of my pocket, everything. To this day, with all this gift that I have, literally everything comes out of my pocket, which I'm proud to say because I own everything, and that's why Prince and I got along so well because he had so. Even though I don't have what most people have, Prince has so much respect for me because I just took the chance and said, I'm going to do it myself. I'm not waiting on nobody to hand me a career. I'm going to build it myself. Me, my wife, my kids, who was hand packaging CDs and selling them with me. Yeah, that was my team. Literally, my kids will tell you, man, they were little and they were packaging CDs. And Nisa would send them off
Learn
to
how to
me while
shrink
I was on
wrap.
the road. So did.
Shrink wrap with the heat gun.
They would put them in the plastic sleeves and roll them up and tie them up. Yeah, man. That was, I'm telling you, I sent straight from the vault, which was my third record, but the first one I did on my own. I sent straight from the vault to radio stations. Only 2 stations got back to me. One was HUR, and I think it was Tony. I think it was Tony Roberts. Was that what else name? What was Tony's name? Tony Richards reached out to me and said, "What is this?" I said, "Just play it, man. Please trust me. Just play it. Play it for me. Just play it for me. Just pick a song. Just pick a song and play it for me, please. I need the help." And then there was Morris Baxter at WCLK, Jamal Ahmad over at TLK, and Aaron Cohen at the time. They just played. They took a chance on it and just played it. They didn't give me no drama, no nothing. Those 2 stations, of all the stations I send my music to, WDAS and all these other stations, man, they probably put their cups of coffee on it or threw it away. So
let me tell you something, and this is the reason
yeah.
I want to. It's like a full circle moment. It's funny because there's becoming such a huge appreciation of musicianship, instrumentation, kids going back to school for music. One of the things that we're working with the VG Jazz Foundation in this event, one of the main benefits of VGJazz.org is to also not only early detection of pancreatic cancer, which is the core, but the other core, the big vision of Eric and his wife Deborah, is to make sure music education stayed with our children. So I want to mention this because we were made for us. All of a sudden, you're doing the music, you're doing your thing, you're touring, and you do this song, We Were Made for Us. Why do you think all of a sudden We Were Made for Us became a big hit? All of a sudden, this song comes out and it's another hit. You got a music video, it's a feel. I think it's because of the love factor. You've always talked about love, so that's why you're always gonna be your number one. You're number one. So you always.
Hey,
but what was
Lionel
it about
Richie
We Were Made for Us?
Lionel Richie said the subject love will never go out of style. I never forget when I heard him say that years ago. So,
and he wasn't scared to do a ballad. That's how I look at you.
Not at all.
I look at you like
not at all.
Like Lionel Richie. His whole group said, "Man, you crazy." He was like, "Why you keep doing these slow songs?" He got the most number 1 songs ever in Motown history. He's the one artist that has more number 1 songs than any other Motown.
Wow.
Smokey Hurston.
Wow.
You don't think
Lionel,
about
man,
it. Because,
wow. I didn't know that. That's one dude I've always wanted to work with, though. Believe it or not, Lionel Richie, Kenny Rogers. I always wanted to work with Dolly. Right? Kenny Rogers, Dolly Parton, the late Loretta Lynn. I wanted to work Waylon Jennings. I wanted to work with all these people. And I love Lionel because Lionel's so versatile. He could touch country and he could touch funk. That's one of the reasons why I want to sit with Lionel. And he plays piano, and sax. He knows music. We Were Made for Us was from the approach of a mature couple who stood the test of time, passed all the tests, even had some errors and some mistakes, but they overcame it. And now they're silver-haired, silver-faced, bald, you know, and excuse me, and just at the point in their lives, in their career, in their lives, and in their careers, where they're just like, "F it, man, it's gonna work out. Let's go have a drink, baby. Let's go." You know what I mean?
We got past all that. We still here.
Let's take a drive. Let's take a drive to the beach and watch the sunset. Well, oh, that's going on. Oh, okay. Well, then you and I, we gonna let that be that, and then you and I gonna go up here to the mountains and enjoy the scenery and look over. Yeah, come on. We too old for that. We too mature for that. You know, it's that kind of thing. You ain't letting nothing stop your relationship. And then it's a whole nother generation now. Your kids are grown now, you know, and you got the next generation trying to tell you how your relationship should be. Now, wait a minute. I'm old enough to be your daddy. Oh, I am your daddy.
I am your daddy. Your mom's still sitting, you know, your mom's sitting here trying to tell her how to deal with women. He's like, I'm a woman.
And it's no slight to Mario and Frank, my own kids. I'm just saying in general, you know, you got the youth trying to tell you how you need to live because it's a new generation. But just because it's a new generation, listen, knowledge is something you get in a book. Wisdom is what you get from living what's in that book. You know what I mean? You get knowledge from the books, but you get wisdom from living it. And once you've lived and you try to school the next generation, either they're gonna listen or they're gonna try to tell you what it's about because they feel, you know, this is my society, I know. Well, that's cool, but we're making it through your society because we've already lived. We already been there, done that. What you doing? It's just a new society. Just teach me how to work this phone. That's all. But other than that, you ain't gonna tell me.
It took us about an hour to figure out what platform to be on. If we had a young person in here, we're like, y'all stupid. We was trying to decide.
Oh my God, you and I were fighting.
I was like, wait, I think this is better. You got your Wi-Fi on? We yelling like kids in here.
We yelling at each other.
We yelling like he upstairs and I'm downstairs. You got the Wi-Fi?
Right. No.
You hear now?
Oh my God. But if our kids were in here, boy, we wouldn't have that problem.
They're like, move.
Right? Jeez. Man, I'm telling you.
Here's the thing you said. You said this, and I wanted to finish this point. You mentioned about Eric, you mentioned about Jeff and some of the other people. The thing that's so amazing about your career, and I know it can be frustrating because I've gone through the same thing on a comedic level of touring, stuff like that. But the thing that gave me pause and that gave me contentment is the fact that taking a beat to actually, what you mentioned, our children. Mm-hmm. The time that we get where it seems like they're growing and we're staying in this holding pattern, but we're watching them grow and become these adults. Even my daughter's younger, and watching her, it's the patience that I'm learning to have with her. I realize is the same patience that God has had with me. God don't have a time limit on us. So he's and what we see is all of a sudden a hit like this comes forth. All of a sudden, there's a market in places like Meet the, places like R&B Money. We're gonna get you on that podcast. Watch. Things like that where people have been saying, man, this cat right here, you've been doing this, you've been touching it, dealing with different people. You're one of those artists. You know how many artists? It's funny because when we're in our own mode, we're like, man, I wish this, that, and other. And this artist looking at you like, man, how can I get in Europe? They looking at you like, you always touring over there, man. How can I get over? Matter of fact, I think it was Mindy Abair or Candy Dulfer brought you on stage to do Another Day.
Candy.
And I was watching.
It was a lady. We said
Ladies of Soul.
Candy Dulfer. Ladies of Soul.
We all have I let it run. I let my YouTube run on jazz and stuff, and Frank's songs pop up because I love your stuff. But said it was Candy Dulfer. It was Ladies of Soul.
Yeah, Ladies of Soul. Ladies of Soul. It was Trancho was the house. Candy Dulfer, Glennis. It was Glennis Grace. Had Lisa Romley. And I'm missing somebody. Berger Lewis. And then on that particular year, because they did it, I think they did it for a number of years, and each year they would have different guests come. And the guest for that night was me, or for that run, rather, it was 3 nights in a row. It was me, Olita Adams, and somebody else. I forgot. But anyway, 3 sold out nights, 10,000 people a night at the Ziegler Dome, off the chain. And
Where's
I
that?
tell you that Amsterdam, Netherlands. And I think it was that third night I found out that we lost Al Jarreau right before I went on the stage. Oh, I was so bummed. I was so bummed because Al was the nicest guy, man. He was such a cool dude, man. Man, every time I'm like, Frank, hey, Frank, give me this big old hug. Al was the coolest dude, man. Me, Al, and George. I was so happy to be a part of their friendship because they had been friends since the 60s. So for them to embrace me, I'm like, hey, like some gangsters, you know.
I was listening to Jeffrey Osborne was talking about how Jeffrey Osborne is I got a chance when I was doing one of the concerts I did in Baltimore. It was Morris Day and the Time and Cameo. And this was before I came here. This wasn't that long ago, 2007 maybe. And which to see Cameo, I mean Morris Day and Time is Morris Day and Time. They do their thing. But Cameo, when you say those bands that just take over the stage and they
I can believe it.
Boom, boom. You just listen to the bass line, you in the back there like, oh Lord.
Yeah,
so
oh yeah.
But I interviewed Jeffrey Osborne because I was doing a Skip Scarborough Award. And I had Skip's wife, Alton McLean Scarborough. He had passed away. Skip was one of those artists I met. He lived in Baltimore. I met him, and he was just a gracious, humble dude. And I thought it'd be dope to give a Skip Scarborough Award, and gave it to, I think, his wife. Received the Alton McLean Scarborough. But I interviewed Jeff just to have some snippets, and he was just talking about the industry and how it changed then. And we talking about he was like, back in the day, we just wanted to get the next gig. We wanted to have our live performance so tight that the gig would, and I tell people this, a bunch of people buying tickets for the Atlanta, don't forget, you'll see it after this interview, you see the information for the Atlanta show, and we got some snippets, you'll catch it all over online everywhere. April 30th, 2023.
That's right, April 30th, this year.
But right. I was like, for those that have never seen Frank McComb, you'll understand why bringing back VG Jazz and having an artist like Frank is such a privilege, but also it's gonna smack y'all in the motherfucking mouth. You know, you gotta smack. That's what jazz, soul and jazz is supposed to hit you in the when your eyes tear up. Your eyes tear up, you don't know what's going on, you want to get up
and don't come to the show talking because that just might happen to you. No.
It's at the Four Seasons. The food is going to be amazing, but that music is going to smack you in the mouth. But
it's going to sock you.
Because when you go out and perform, you leave it all out there. You leave it all on the stage.
Man. Yeah, man. Because I look at it like this, man. People paying their hard-earned money, you know, to be entertained, and at the same time, it gives me an outlet. You know, all the stress, everything that's in me. It's my opportunity to put it out.
It's a therapy.
Everything. It's therapy for me. So they just paying to see me go through therapy.
He got all right. We got, because we can go on for 2 hours. We're gonna do a part 2. We're gonna do a part 2. But you got some keys behind. You got them keys in there. I don't know if you want to give people a little something to get out of here. But you can sing.
No, Actually, I can't because it's rigged up to the headphones and I don't even have the speakers on.
He was actually in a session. I'm sorry, we disturbed.
No, I was literally recording. Yeah,
recording. I thought he had to. But when you
I got the rig up, but the speakers are not. They're not even powered and plugged up. Yep.
Right.
So it's all come through headphones.
Y'all go. But, let the people know, Frank. First off, thank you for taking a minute because I'm glad you're in town and we got this kind of.
Definitely. Because we've been trying to do this for how long now? But I was on the road. I was trying to come in instead, you know. But then I was just on the road and running.
Not doing it like this. So 2018.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Let's go all the way back. Yeah.
We did the phone interview while you were you were in Germany when you did the phone interview with me on the station. But you in Germany?
Yeah, that's right. I think so.
In Germany in 2018.
Oh my God, man!
But let people know how to get in touch with you. Let them know how to get your music, your catalog, everything.
Well, for bookings, you can email FM, my initials, FM Concerts with an S, fmconcerts@gmail.com. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. That's search my name. You know what? I got a one-stop shop for you though. Go to frankmccombmusic.com. There you will find my Bandcamp, my Patreon, where everybody can pay like $20 a month to get exclusive video footage that the public won't get to see. It is strictly for those who support me. $20 a month. I'm literally getting my Gary Marshall on. I'm literally getting my Steven Spielberg on. Well, I'm actually collecting my own footage, everything, and putting all my little productions together and putting them on Patreon. $20 a month gets you backstage access to my career. My Bandcamp, Patreon, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Those are the only ones I have time to keep up with. My apparel, my FM hats, Booby Scoop Music hats, sweatshirts, t-shirts, 3104 Customs. The link is there. And ask for Sherry and tell her I sent you. No, not Sherry. No, take that name off. That's old. Chris. So edit that for me. Ask for Chris. Chris Scherer is her name. Yeah. Now Sherry's somebody else I was working with, and yeah. So edit that for me. Yeah.
We edit out the show.
31. Yeah. Pull that out. Yeah. I don't want them getting no play. Chris Scherer. Ask for Chris. 3104 Customs, and you'll see the email there for my apparel, my FM and my Booby Scoop Music. So everything is there. It's frankmccombmusic.com. Everything. That's the one-stop shop for everything for Frank McComb. Be on the lookout for the duet, Learn How to Love. Frank McComb and Walter Williams, the OJs. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yep. This is the first I've mentioned it publicly.
I always have a lot of love for the OJs. My first comedy DVD opened for the OJs. And that was back in 2006.
Man. Wow, nice.
At Berkeley Fine Arts, Morgan State University. Holland Morgan.
Really? Nice, man. Nice. Man, I love the Jays.
I always had mad love for them.
Love the Jays, man. I'm telling you, there's some good cats too, man. That Walter Williams is such a smooth dude and such a cool dude, man. He was a big fan of mine for years. I didn't realize he was that much a fan of mine. So I was like,
and then keeping in touch. I mean, that's what you started with. What's so funny?
Yeah. But he turned out to be a big fan of mine over the years. He was following my career when I left Cleveland and I started making my way. He was still following my career. I didn't know it. Yeah, Walter Williams. So this is a tune that I wrote when I was about, I guess about 19, 20. And it's Learn How to Love is the name of the song. And it's about a guy who's married a gold digger. You know, she tricked him. They started out perfect, and before you know it, like they ain't getting along. She's spending up all his money. She got him furnishing a relationship she got outside of him. Yeah. Bad. You need to learn how to love. Yeah, that's the song. And don't ask, maybe it was the whiskey, but maybe that's what I had when I was writing it. But I was only 20 years old. I hadn't gone through anything like that. But I love good stories. That's the thing. I love stories, man. I could watch a movie and see a scene that doesn't have music in it, and I can hear the music. I can see a scene that's got whack music in it, and I can hear something else totally different. Yeah, I love.
You know what?
Stories.
You just we got another project. We ain't gonna say it here, but I'm gonna talk to you about because you mentioned scoring. So we're gonna talk about that in a bit because that's phenomenal. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Frank McComb. You're gonna hear his music on this video, on the commercials to come. But go to frankmccombmusic.com and get it all. Get it all.
And I'm on Spotify, Apple Music, every place. Music, every place music is sold digitally, I'm there. Oh, and one last plug, if you don't mind. I had a radio show called The Living Room some years ago, and I stopped doing it about 4 years ago. And a friend of mine who has a big radio outlet gave me the opportunity to resurrect my show. But it's called Frank McComb's Living Room now, because The Living Room was all about playing different styles of music. I would go from Stevie Wonder to Oscar Peterson, to Elton John, to Billy Joel, to The Who, if I wanted to, because it was like listening to music in my house. But now, I was having a conversation with this gentleman, and I said, man, in a perfect world, I would bring my radio show back. I would call it Frank McComb's Living Room, and it would be 1 hour of nothing but Frank McComb. Because The Living Room was 2 hours, but it's just too much time trying to run a career and do everything, all the jobs that an artist needs done for them, and then still be the artist, and then still run a radio show. So 2 hours, and then picking and choosing so many other people's music to put together, it just took its toll on me. So I ended up not doing it for the last 3 or 4 years. But this guy gave me the outlet, and I don't want to, respectfully, I don't want to disrespect your platform. But
Oh no,
this guy,
this is my platform is universal, so it's everywhere.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Yeah,
well, Close to Music Radio. Jazz Beats Radio is actually the station, but Close to Music is the home. So Jazz Beats Radio, Frank McComb's Living Room, 1 hour Frank McComb on every Saturday and Sunday, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Frank McComb's Living Room, 1 hour of all Frank McComb, all things Frank McComb, 1 hour on Saturday and Sunday, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So I'm playing all Frank McComb music, any songs that I was featured on that I put out, or that were put out on me, would feature me. Road stories on some episodes, broadcasts rather. On some broadcasts, you're hearing road stories, you're hearing unreleased music, unreleased live performances. It's raw, like straight up raw, So it's all about Frank McComb.
Hey,
Beats
Raw is my last name.
Right. So,
Jazz Beats Radio every 1 hour Friday, Saturdays and Sundays.
Saturdays and
Sundays.
Is
it jazzbeatsradio.com?
Jazzbeatsradio.com. And you can hear just all things Frank McComb. Get to know me. Yep, get to know me. And I've been told by many people that I've got really good ride music. So I'm just glad that I have this platform. So if anybody traveling during that time, turn it on in your car. You can download the app.
You can listen to a Frank McComb. That is true. In LA, for all those in LA traffic, New York traffic, you need headphones in the subway. Why LA?
Right.
LA home.
Right. I'm done.
Hey,
I'm
ladies
so
and
done.
gentlemen.
Yeah, man.
Totally. Mr. Frank McComb. Frank. Thank you, brother.
Thanks, man. Thank you. Yeah, we gotta do a part 2 for real.
Oh, we got some more. We gotta do a part 2. But also we're gonna do a session. We're gonna do somewhere where we give some people some live stuff, because we were looking at live stuff in LA already. But you will catch us together April 30th in Atlanta. Right. Frank McComb, ladies and gentlemen. Love you, brother.
Thank you very much. Likewise, man. Be cool.